Shalom. Our Torah portion this week, Shmini, contains the basic outline of kashrut, the Jewish dietary laws. Let's take a look at Leviticus chapter 11, verses 2 and 3. Zot hachaya asher tochlu mikol habehema asher al haaretz kol mafreset parsa v'shosaat shesa prasot ma'alat gera babehema ota tochelu. These are the creatures that you may eat from among all the land animals. Any animal that has true hoofs with clefts through the hoofs and that chews the cud, such you may eat. So we've just read the law regarding what land animals we're allowed to eat. And of course, they have to have a split hoof. The hoof has to be totally split, and that animal has to chew its cud. Animals like cows and goats and sheep, they are kosher. Animals like horses, elephants, dogs, they are not kosher. Later on in the Sedra, we read that the only aquatic creatures that are fit for a kosher diet must have scales and fins. Now, all of these laws are repeated in the 14th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy, and there we find an additional law that forbids us to mix meat and dairy products together. Now, these basic biblical laws of kashrut do not cover all of the laws of kashrut, especially for today's Orthodox Jews, who also are very attentive to the way animals are slaughtered. They also speak of a waiting time between eating dairy products and meat products, and for the most part, they have two sets of dishes in their homes, one for fleishik, that is for meat, and one for milchik products, that would be for dairy products. Now, the majority of American Jews, sadly, have abandoned kashrut. Many see it as an archaic practice, perhaps based on the incorrect assumption that these laws came to be in the ancient time for physical hygiene. In 1885, the Reform movement in America declared kashrut to have no relevance to a meaningful Jewish life in modern times. But there were Reform rabbis, including Rabbi Isaac Mayer Weiss, the founder of the Reform movement in America, who argued that it was wrong, it was a mistake to abandon the dietary laws, saying that there are many ethical and moral principles involved in these laws, and that they also are a powerful tool for establishing and strengthening Jewish identity. Today, many young Jews are rediscovering the importance of kashrut as a spiritual practice. Some are adopting the traditional kashrut practices, while others are learning about those traditional practices, but they are choosing and adapting and reinterpreting those rules. These young Jews remind me of Isaac, the second of the patriarchs, the son of Abraham. We read that Isaac in Genesis 26:18, we read the following about him. Isaac then turned to digging anew the water wells they had dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham's death. And he gave them the same names his father had given them. And when Isaac's servants dug in the wadi, they discovered there a well of living waters. Thousands of young Jews around the country, like Isaac, are redigging the wells and rediscovering the living waters that are in those wells of traditional Jewish practice. In kashrut and in other traditional practices that their parents may have abandoned, young Jews are discovering some great bits of wisdom. They are discovering kashrut on their own terms, sometimes expanding notions of what is kosher and what is treif being what is not kosher. Sometimes they ask questions like this: if an animal product that I'm eating involved the suffering, unnecessary suffering of the animal, perhaps that isn't kosher. Maybe that is treif. They ask questions like, is this food product that I'm eating, is it the result of sustainable agriculture, or is it exhausting the earth in which it's growing? They ask questions such as, were human beings exploited or mistreated in the production of this food? If so, that food is not kosher. They ask all these questions. They ask these questions, and I believe that they are rediscovering kashrut, just as Isaac rediscovered the living waters in those wells that he dug from his father's time. Now, these young people that I speak of may not be keeping kosher by the traditional standards, but they have figured out that a spiritual lifestyle requires a diet for the soul. And I believe that they're right. Well, I hope that you will read this week's Torah portion and come to your own conclusion. Shabbat Shalom.